In my essay, I argued the positive of adoption and how adoption can change a life for not only a child but not and the birth parents, but also the adoptive parents. We know adoption as the process where a child, or however old they are, they don't have to be a baby, is placed into a family called the adoptive parents, other than their birth biological parents. I see adoption as something that is extremely positive, as which the other option wouldn't be as positive. The birth mother, if they feel as if they aren't capable of having the child or raising the child for any reasons, amongst their personal life, they have the opportunity to give their child up for adoption. And if that's not the case, the court systems do, and they are very, very good at placing a child into a home that they know that will take care of them. Many people see adoption as a negative because they think it's a random household. The kids are being placed with random people and in a home that they're not used to. Well, if it's a baby, they, obviously aren't old enough to know where they are, who they're with, until they become familiar with the people they grow up with and who raised them. But even if the child is 2 years old or 3 years old, the adoption process is very, very lengthy. And the reason it is as lengthy as it is because the court systems, if they're involved, they require a screening for the adoptive parents, a home inspection, meetings with the family and friends, they check the financial stability, and they are very crucial, hard and crucial on who they choose to be adoptive parents. If the birth mother is in the involvement, then they may have the option to choose the adoptive parents. And if that's the case, they have the opportunity to meet and become familiar with the parents who have applied to adopt their baby. There are many reasons why people want to adopt. It could include they may be infertile, they might not have a partner to have a child with. They might want to extend their family, their religious views, they're highly, they really support adoption. There are many reasons. Infertility is that's one of the main reasons people adopt. And I personally know a couple, they're family friends of mine and my parents. They are in their mid-20s. They were a friend of my cousin. He had cancer about 3 years ago and had chemotherapy, and ever since then they've been trying to have a baby, and they couldn't. She had 3 or 4 miscarriages and lost every single one of them. And from then on, they were struggling with depression, and obviously they really wanted a child badly, but didn't know what their next step was. After a while, they decided that adoption was going to be the best thing for them, and the process was very long. They decided they wanted to adopt last year around this time, and they just adopted a baby last week. But they assured me that the process is very lengthy. We went to visit them a couple months ago, and they were having their home screening. And it was very crucial, and they check everything. They check everything from the time they walk in to the time they leave. They have a list, and if you don't meet those expectations, you are automatically, kicked out of the process. They don't, they go by a strict standard, and if you don't meet that, then, that's just your last chance, and they will give you the option to improve and then apply again. Kenzie and Austin raised $30,000 on a fundraiser to adopt a child, and that's how expensive it is. I don't know if that's for every child, but for their child it was expensive, and after doing some research, that was about the average, no matter where you adopt the baby from or which agency. and they adopted a child from the actual birth mother, but she went through an adoption agency. The birth parents were both very young, and they were still in high school. And although they could have been capable, it's not that they were not capable. Nobody is not capable necessarily, but they thought that it was best if the child was up for adoption. And that's another argument that I argued in my paper, is the thought of people saying, oh, you shouldn't adopt because the birth mother thinks, or the birth mother should keep the child because they are incapable, or they should raise their child. Well, I see where many people come from when they say that. However, just because they put their child up for adoption does not mean they are incapable of raising a child. And that's not the only reason people put their child up for adoption. And there can be many reasons. The birth parents can be deceased. There's been many times that I've, watched movies or seen articles or something of the birth parents dying in a car accident and the court system's having to come in and put the child up for adoption. Or maybe they just didn't want kids, or maybe they are in high school and too young, but that's them being the responsible parents saying, okay, I don't think I can raise this child. I think the best thing for me to do for them is put them up for adoption, to have somebody to love and care and be able to raise them. I have a friend that I went to high school with that I don't really see her anymore, but in high school we were really close. And she got pregnant during high school, and although she could have been capable, and of course her parents probably would have helped her raise the child, she and her, boyfriend decided that the best thing for the baby was to be adopted by a family that were older, that wanted children, that were financially stable, had a home, had jobs. But they were in high school. They didn't even know at the time what they wanted to do with their lives or where they were going when we graduated. And that is normally the case, not all the time, but a lot of the times the birth parents just do it because they think it's what's best for the child. There have been other cases where maybe, the child is taken away from the birth parents. And in times like that, the court systems do have the opportunity to place the child in foster care. And then from foster care, the adoption agencies will set up an adoption process, and, hopefully someone will adopt them. Another point I argued in my paper is money saved for the government. After doing a lot of research, I did not realize how much money the government puts into foster care. And although I think it's definitely great that the government has that money to help, the children, it could save a lot of money for the government to put the money back if, adoption definitely saves money. For all the money they would be paying into foster care, if there's more adoptions, they wouldn't be paying that. And then in the long term, the government would be more positive because we would have a very good result from the youth. I just think that's a really positive way of adoption, and how it can end in a great way. After looking at the statistics of adoption, I read that out of 5 million United States births, 118,000 of them are adopted. And to me, that number is good. And I'm not sure how many kids are put up for adoption out of that number that are adopted. But adoption is a great thing. And no matter, who the birth parents are or what their story is, it's not the child's fault. And even if they are a newborn baby or if they're 12 years old, every child deserves to be raised in a home with, comfort and love, and be able to get an education, and have what they need, not so much what they want, but what they need. I definitely am a pro for, I would definitely suggest adoption for anyone that I came in contact with that wanted to. I would definitely suggest it. And I think adoption is a great thing, and that's why I decided to do my paper on it.